family thing, but still, that's hard for anybody, not just you.
Thank you for taking my call, Tiffany. Thank you for everything.
Thanks for everything you do, and I want to hear more about their talk yesterday later. But thanks so much,
and Jen. Thank you for sharing. All the best.
Thank you too, Joe. It was nice to meet you.
Have a nice day.
You too.
Thanks for calling. If anyone else wants to call in, 866-826-1340. We love taking calls, and that's just powerful. His story really brings another perspective into it and helping other people too. So, yeah. So, Jen, pushing forward and finding ourselves after something like that, how do you, in your opinion, what are some important things that you had to overcome?
Well, for me, I was at sometimes, my own worst enemy in many situations where I didn't see clearly what was going on or where I was at. So, what Joe said about forgiveness, you start with yourself. Mm-hmm. And you start to forgive yourself for the things that you feel like you need to make amends for, or the things that you have done wrong, or the fallback moments that you've had. And then you start to realize that those fallback moments where you're taking 10 steps back, you may take some more fail forward moments where you're learning and you're growing, but you're growing in the right direction. And then from there, you're taking those 10 steps forward and sometimes 2 steps back. Because even still, I have moments where I have to take a step back from the situation and say, okay, hit the reset button. This is not okay what is happening. I'm still getting abused daily from my ex, almost abusive emails, texts. If I unblock, to this day. If I unblocked him from my phone, I would have probably over 50 calls a day, because he just cannot accept what is going on in his life. But for me, I had to find my boundaries and say, the way that you are treating me will not happen anymore, and I will not be okay with it. And I won't have it around my family. I will not have it around my business. I will not have it on my social media. I will not have it on any avenue that you're choosing to exploit. Leave me alone and stop.
And I love what you said, setting boundaries and saying this is not going to happen anymore. And being able to stay firm with it. Is people like that are kind of stalker or don't have any boundaries. It sounds like your ex doesn't have any or any dignity that either. Yeah. And but you have to stay firm with your decision. And so if you let him in every now and then, he's just going to think, if I just keep calling, there's going to be a time she's not going to say no, or it makes them try harder.
And you're exactly right on that. I mean, that completely resonates, and that's part of the forgiveness factor of there have been times where I've wavered on those boundaries. And so for him, who is not, he's not clear in his mind, the fact that I have kind of wavered on those boundaries in the past has led to an opening where I was finally saying, I have to close this opening somehow because you're infiltrating my happiness. And so that is where part of that forgiveness comes first. And you say, okay, I'm going to forgive myself for accidentally trying my best and leaving openings to be hurt. And then you say, from now on, these are the boundaries. And if you do not respect my boundaries, X will happen. Whatever it is. For me, it was, if you do not respect them, then you will be blocked from my phone. And, so I think it all really, to pull yourself out of that, you have to be able to say, you know what? Part of this has been my fault in the past because I loved that person at one time. I cared for them. I want to see the best in them. But right now, they're hurting me, and I don't want it anymore.
Have you ever thought of a restraining order or something like that?
Oh, I had an active restraining order with him. It's a challenge when you have kids, and you want to be a proponent of trying to allow them to have a relationship with the other parent that's non-involved, that has never paid child support, that has never done the things that they should do. But, it's a fine balancing act, too, because you have to deal with, the legal repercussions from that. And you're tied to whatever your documents were when you divorced or you separated or you whatever it was. And I find for me, and I don't know about the rest of your listeners, but that is a really tough tightrope to walk, where you want to say, you know what? This is not part of our parenting agreement. Leave me alone.
Right. You don't want to be harassed all day, all night. That's not part of any parenting agreement.
You and I ended years ago. It's done, you know?
Yeah, well, if he's out if he's an alcoholic and he's abusive, then how do you stop somebody from that, especially if he's the father of your kids?
Right. And I would be really curious if there are any other callers out there that have felt like they were alone in the court system. I'm not trying to get into politics. I'm not trying to go that direction. But for me, I can't afford every time I need to make an adjustment to whatever's going on to make sure that I'm protecting myself. I can't afford to hire an attorney every time. I don't have the time to go to court every other day. I mean, with the protection order that I had to go to court 4 different times because he refused to show up at court. And then the court system turned around and said, well, because he refused to show up, we can't do anything for you. We can't continue on with this protection order. And it felt like such a kick in the gut with everything going on, that they approved a protection order. They said, you absolutely have merit behind this. It's absolutely warranted. And sorry, we're going to leave you stranded on an island right now.
That's how it feels, doesn't it? And you're so right, though, that I think people put up with some of that stuff a lot more because it's such a hassle to be able to set that boundary and stand on your feet and be firm and continue to go back and file paperwork and continue to get legal help. I think people even stay married longer than they want to be because they're not wanting to get the legal paperwork or it's expensive or something. And it's a tough place to be. I'm so sorry that you're going through that. And it's just... It's just rough, and I know you're not alone in that.
There have been worse times, but the light at the end of the tunnel, I mean, that analogy, it is getting so bright. And that's the encouragement and the hope that I want to give to other people that are in a situation, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's sexual assault, whether it's alcoholism or drug abuse or whatever it is, figure out what makes you whole, allow yourself the grace and the forgiveness and make those positive steps forward. It may suck at first. It may be hard to pull yourself out of bed or out of, a zone, but do something that changes the routine. Go for a workout, go for a walk, find positive outlets that start to inspire you to, be that normal you again. For me, I know it sounds silly, but one of my positive outlets is I played softball competitively. And I went into this slow pitch league, and I was like, this is going to be boring for me. But it turned out that I met some of the greatest friends I've had in my life who were incredibly supportive, and it was fun, and I was out, and I was active. And some of those little steps where you sit there, and there were nights where it'd be like, I don't want to go to a 9 o'clock game tonight. That's so late. But once you're there, you're so happy you're there because there's something that is helpful for you.
That's a great outlet. And it's time for a second break, but when we get back, I want to tell you guys that Jen's story ends up really good. She's the founder of a really great organization, and we are going to get to that in a second. Stay tuned. We'll be back with Moments of Clarity in just a moment.
We will return to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner after these messages.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
BuildingBeyond.me is a community. We try to help animals, including the humans. We fundraise to buy oxygen pumps for babies, water and food for families, from dog food and veterinary surgery, from shoes to food to milk and diapers. BuildingBeyond.me.
Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. Living with a mental health disorder is not easy. If you or someone you know are struggling with this, please know it's so important to seek treatment, and I'm here to help. Please visit the website at momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com to view blog posts and resources on this site to help educate and inspire you to take action, because there's no shame in seeking help for mental health. While you're there, please take a few seconds to sign up for my email list. You'll get some extremely valuable educational and entertaining content that can be sent right to your inbox each week. Plus, you'll also get instant and free access to my guide on managing your anxiety. You can also follow me on Twitter at MOC with Tiffany and at Facebook at Tiffany Warner. And once again, the website is momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com. Thank you so much for your support and for listening to your show, because change can only come when we stand together as one.
Did you know that your physical health plays a big role in your mental health? Healthy minds and healthy bodies go hand in hand. The problem for many is finding the time and getting the results they want. X-Force Body is perfect for people with busy schedules, with a mission to inspire you to become leaner, stronger, and in the process healthier. X-Force Body coaches will encourage, motivate, and inspire you through every workout, helping you achieve the results you desire. Learn more about X-Force Body. For more information, visit www.xforcebody.com.
Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. I'd like to give a shout out to musician-songwriter Don Lawson, who wrote, produced, and performed all the vocals and instruments on my Moments of Clarity theme song. Don gained his inspiration as a mental health counselor himself. He's always looking for artists to record his songs, and you can hear more of Don's music at reverbnation.com/Don Lawson. You can also check him out on Twitter at Don Lawson Music. Thank you so much, Don, for your contribution to Moments of Clarity and ending the stigma on mental health. It's awesome.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Now back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner, licensed mental health counselor. To engage in the conversation, call 866-826-1340. Here's Tiffany.
Welcome back, and this is Moments of Clarity. My name is Tiffany Warner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. Today I've got the professional survivor on, Jen Goodhue is my guest, and we're talking about overcoming bad relationships and divorce and abuse and all that stuff. And we're running to the end of the show, and we have about 11 minutes left. But what I wanted to get to the most is where you are today, Jen, and that people can rise, and self-esteem and entrepreneurial tasks.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the exciting part, everyone who's listening, is that it does get better. It gets awesome some days and most days and more days. And more days. And you will have some setbacks here and there still in your life. That's what life is about, is learning from those setbacks and becoming better.
So true.
For me, I needed to allow myself the space to be better, not to be so hard on myself, and now, I have an awesome fiance who was a big part of, he was a complete outsider to the situation. And so he saw everything, and he still sees, even with my ex,
Hi, Zach.
everything in a different light. And trusting other voices that are there will get you a long way, as long as they're really in it for the best outcome for you. Mm-hmm. And my business is thriving.
That's probably not easy for your fiance if your ex is calling all the time and causing all that stuff.
Oh, man.
It takes a real trooper. You got a good one there.
Yeah. For those of you that have moved on and then deal with an unstable ex, it is very difficult for that other person. For that other person to understand the past, the history, the now, the future. It's very uncertain for them, even for me, and you're absolutely right. And I give Zach a lot of kudos for putting up with the everyday occurrences that still continue to happen.
Yay, Zach. No, he's a nice guy. So tell me about Elevate Loud, and pretend you've never told me before.
Elevate Loud, actually, it definitely follows the path of my personal story. So it was back in 2009, my ex and I started this company with another business partner. And I think I mentioned it on the last show. I was pregnant at the time and quickly realized that a husband-wife relationship, even though we were never married, but that type of dynamic with another business partner wouldn't work. Mm-hmm. And I had my full-time job and my career, and I was thriving in it, and I stayed in that zone, which was much more healthy, to be honest. But then things happened where business shifts and your personal life shifts. And the first time that my ex, that we actually did anything with his alcoholism, he was on a ventilator for 21 days. My house went under contract the day he went in and was put on the ventilator. And we were in the middle of a heated fight with the business partner to buy out or have different shares. And so for those of you that are entrepreneurial, use those moments to think about how to restructure for the future so that you protect yourself and you know how to handle difficult situations. Luckily for me, I had my paperwork in order, so I had a power of attorney over everything, could do whatever I needed to act on his behalf, which I appreciate that at the time our relationship, we trusted each other in that direction, because if we wouldn't have had that trust, we would not have been able to allow for me to step forward and overcome all the obstacles at that time so many years ago were in my way. And so that little company